فاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون، الذي لا يدركه بعد الحمم ولا يناله غوص الفطن، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، العبد المعيد الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، صاحب العصر والزمان، خليفة الرحمن، إمام الإنس والجان، ولعن الله أعداءهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا وإن الله لمع المحسنين. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. As I have said before, and I'll say it today as well, it's challenging and humbling when an alim, someone I consider a mentor, someone I consider a teacher, is in the mahfil or in the majma', and it is with your permission, Qibla, that I begin, and with your ma'azrat as well. You should be up here, not me, but for the health, inshallah, of Maulana Asad Sahab, for his tawfiq, inshallah, and the dua that may Allah inspire him to continue to serve the Ahl al-Bayt, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Idru bihi jinn Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Alone with the alone. Examining our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been our ongoing topic. Tonight is lecture number 10. First of all, let us send our condolences to the Imam of our time and to all of you on tonight being the Shab Wafat of al-Mu'mineen, the mother of our mother of all the Imams, a woman, in this dunya, in this world, the more you attain, the higher you go. She is an individual that the more she gave, the higher she went. And so tonight being the Shab Wafat of Bibi Khadija, Salamullah alayha, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And we, of course, will keep our topic in mind and, of course, include her in that topic. There is Masa'ib, there is Noha and Matam, inshallah, also at the end. Our discussion, our attempt from day number 1 now, it's been 10 days, mashallah, I've been with all of you, has been revolving around the idea of re-injecting, reintroducing, reviving Allah inside of us. We have figured out to some extent the wasila of Allah. We've figured out the Imams and the Prophets. We fell in love with them. We cry for them. We celebrate their birth. We do our best to emulate them. But we mentioned in the very first day now 10 days ago, the mission of the Imams and the Prophets, if we sum it up to one mission, it is to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ma'aloom for all of us, known for all of us. Now, be it through their words, be it through their actions, be it through taqreer or qawl or fi'l, whatever the case may be. And what ended up happening was that somewhere in the process, as I mentioned, we fell in love with them, but we didn't get to the maqsad of their mission, which was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So many times I've said this, I'll say it again, that we're able to defend Ghadir, argue Ghadir, debate Ghadir. We can defend Ashura, debate Ashura, defend the ghaibat of the Imam, argue the ghaibat of the Imam. But the proof that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists for many of our youth, we have no proof. We get lost. So somewhere in between there was a disconnect. In this month of Allah, where of course we are the guests and He is our host, it is a prime opportunity for us to once again reintroduce the idea of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inside of us. Now we've talked about several things, alhamdulillah. Sifat al-Dhatiyah, Sifat al-Fi'liyah, Burhan al-Nazm, Burhan al-Wujud. We've talked about the idea of hardships and struggles, about the difference between ibadat and ubudiyat. We talked about the idea that shaitan did amazing ibadat yesterday, but when it came to subservience of Allah, he showed his true colors with one hukum of sajda. We talked about the idea that yesterday, or the day before, about the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And yesterday we talked about shaitan. And we said if we truly want to change our life, inject Allah into our life, we have to understand the mawani' that exist. Those blockages, those forces that simply don't want Allah to be part or the entire system inside of our life. And one of them is shaitan. And we discussed to a certain degree how he works, how he interacts with you, how he tricks us into thinking that Allah doesn't want to hear from us. All that was yesterday. One other ma'ane, one other block that we want to make sure, or obstacle on this path we want to discuss tonight, is the dunya. I don't have much time. The dunya is a vast topic. The ulama have done extensive research on this topic. But what I do want to accomplish tonight, especially with my young individuals, those of you out there who are now young, either young couples or on the verge of getting married, outside of your done university now, you're establishing your businesses, there is a misconception out there. We are expecting a number of people tonight. If I can, from now, as opposed to in between the majlis, and I don't mean to pick on you, I'm sorry, those individuals by the door, if you can please come a little bit to the center and move forward with one salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, please. You should know by now that as big and scary as I look, I don't bite, alhamdulillah. So come forward a little bit, you should be okay. Now we'll go a little bit fast because I want to make sure that we have the proper time for musibat and masa'ib and give her haqq. So please follow me. The misconception is this. This is sometimes the confusion. From this very member sometimes, many ulama describe how Amir al-Mu'mineen saw this dunya. Correct? That Amir al-Mu'mineen gave this dunya talaq 3 times. We've heard it 1,000 times. How he has said the snot of an animal is worth more to me than the dunya. We've heard that 1,000 times. Correct? As he's tying his shoes together with a rope and somebody asks him about this khilafat and this dunya, he says, this rope I use to tie my shoes are worth more to me than this dunya. And they're all sahih traditions. They're all completely accurate. No doubt about it. They have to be understood and explained properly. Because the natija, the result is that our youth now understand, or they believe they understand, that this dunya is a physical world. That when you say the dunya, you mean earth, for example. And the akhirat is some heaven or some akhirat that we cannot perceive. And so they simply believe that the more I am unsuccessful in this dunya, the more success I'll attain the hereafter. So the more ripped up my clothing is, the more my car doesn't work, the more broken down my home is, that's how much muttaqi I am. Faqr equals taqwa. Poverty equals taqwa. And those who have a little bit of a nice car, nice clothing, nice job, good house, they're a little bit bachari dur from the deen. And so any chance of our youth striving to be successful in this dunya are all squashed. Because we present the dunya to be this idea that we should run from it, we should spit on it, we should divorce it. When the reality is that right now, if there is more of a need right now for us to have Shia professionals in the West, it's probably today. Shia doctors, Shia nurses, Shia accountants, Shia businessmen, Shia lawyers out there. Nothing would make me more happier to see these young kids 20 years from now when I come in with my wheelchair and my cane, to see them successful, alhamdulillah. So the first thing we have to establish is that the dunya is not a physical world. Imam Khomeini rahmatullah alayhi, Alama Majlisi rahmatullah alayhi, in his chair hadith, Imam Khomeini quotes this, talks about the fact that dunya and the akhirat have nothing to do with worlds. The dunya and the akhirat are states of existences. He says, and I quote, that those encompassing qualities, those encompassing forces that bring you towards the dhikr of Allah is called the akhirat. And those encompassing forces that pull you away from Allah is called the dunya. Has nothing to do with physical worlds. You could be living in this physical world and be the ahli akhirat, no problem. So first misconception that I want for all of you to remove, especially my youth out there who seem like they're choosing between a good, solid career and Islam. It doesn't help that, in Pakistan, India, at least I heard, that's what my fathers and I've never been there, but used to tell me, you have a khandan of 4 kids, one kid, mashallah, is very, very smart. Isko tum doctor banao. Second kid is also smart, make him a lawyer. Third kid's okay, engineer. Fourth kid's a little bit slow, isko qum bhejo. He can't make it in this world, at least go save your akhirat. So this idea, this misconception that all the dropouts, all the failures, all the individuals that couldn't quite cut it in the schools, they're in the hawza right now on the verge of being the ulama. The picture we present, the picture that we paint is a wrong one, I'm sorry. Now it has to be understood what Imam Ali means by these traditions, because they're absolutely correct. Let's try to understand this to the best of our ability. To know, number one, that dunya is not some physical world. The dunya is up to you, what you consider to be the dunya and the akhirat. If you surround yourself with those forces that cause you to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're fine in this dunya. I also tell my youth out there who have friends, who spend all their extra time with their friends, if those friends remind you of Allah, in the sense that now you're sitting around in a group on Friday night that does be Allah, Allah. No one does that. But if God forbid you're trying to steer off the path of Allah and your friends pull you back on, that's what I mean by reminding you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If that is what your circle of influence looks like, then that's a very akhirat concept. Now you could be a pack of friends that are running a very successful business and everything is halal, mashallah, and you're making good profit. There's nothing wrong with that. Islam does not talk about the acquiring of wealth. Of course, granted, it has to be halal way. You can't cheat, lie, and steal to get your wealth, no doubt about it. There's a whole bahas on risk, and what halal risk is and what haram risk is. And part of it is to make sure that the job you're doing is done properly. But where Islam has a high emphasis, and specifically that of the Ahlul Bayt, is not so much the acquiring of wealth, it's the attachment to that wealth. That we don't allow that wealth to have a higher value inside of me than it should. We've had cases, I'm sure so has Maulana. You have a tight-knit family, brothers and sisters alike from day number one, from childhood. Very tight, very loving, very caring. Their father is gone, passes away, and they fight in court over the inheritance. And they sell their soul out for a couple of $1,000 for some land. That's what I mean by attachment. So the first thing we have to realize is that the dunya and the akhirat are states of existences. Now, what is it exactly? How can we now confront these two? Because while you hear about these hadiths about talaq and the snot and the rope, you also have a Nahj Balagha where Amir al-Mu'mineen praises the dunya. This is the marketplace, he says, for the angels. This is the arena and the farsh for those who are the abd of Allah. This is where Allah's wahi is descended upon. This is where mercy can be attained. This is where you gain profit for the akhirat from this world. This world is very, very important. So there is a little bit of confusion. On one side, Amir al-Mu'mineen is praising the dunya. On one side, he absolutely throws it under his feet. It's nothing to me. How can we make this jump a little bit? Let's try to understand that through a very easy tradition by our Holy Prophet, Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He says, Al-dunya dunyanan. There are two dunyas. Dunya balighan wa dunya mal'una. Please follow me very carefully. If you can understand this tradition, then I've done my job. One dunya is a dunya you can attain success in. One dunya is a dunya that's cursed in the eyes of Allah. Now that dunya that you use, your education, mashallah, your profession to serve the deen. Like I said, there are some IT individuals, mashallah, in this community that are very well educated in the IT field. They work for a major corporation, let's say, for example. They make, mashallah, very good money, alhamdulillah, very successful. They use those tools and that knowledge to build apps, let's say, for iPhones and Android, for, let's say, Qibla, for Khoms, etc., etc. That's an excellent example of a person who has now attained success in this dunya. Or there are people, let's say, as I mentioned a story, I'm not sure if it was here or someone's house. I was in a city in the US, came across a person who was studying to be a lawyer. I asked him, why do you want to do this? And this was after 9/11. He mentioned to me that, Sayyid, there are many, many cases of Muslim women, muhajjaba women who wear hijab, who are being assaulted physically in the streets of New York. For no reason. And when they go to the courts or go to the cops, they do nothing for these people. So I want to go down this law field to make sure I defend in the courts cases like this. It's excellent. It's khidmat. At the same time now, to be a lawyer in the US is good money. So this is what I mean by that dunya that you can attain success in. What's more important for us to realize is what is that dunya mal'una. And like I always do, I like to give you very simple examples to get my point across. If you have read up on any irfan, mysticism, Gnostic teachings in Islam, I'm sure you've come across this image, this story I'm about to tell you. It's very, very mash'ur. They say there's a young boy who's running in the jungle being chased by a lion. Follow me very carefully. You guys all with me, inshallah? Everyone's here with me in the back? Yes, inshallah? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. There's a carpet underneath them, there's a wall behind them, there's a cushion between them and the wall. Now, if they don't sleep, I have no idea what they're going to do. If I leave them alone back there, then they'll be gone, inshallah. So as long as you grunt and move and cough and sneeze, I know you're awake, inshallah, back there, inshallah. There is a boy running through the jungle being chased by a lion. Follow me, it's a beautiful depiction of what I'm trying to get across. Now he runs for his life. Of course, there's a lion chasing him. In the distance, he sees a well. A well is such that there's opening of the well, there's a metal bar over like this, and there's a piece of rope hanging down halfway through the well. He thinks to himself, if I can sprint to the well, I can save myself from the lion. He sprints. He runs as fast as he could. Gets to the well, jumps inside the well, goes halfway down the well, and grabs onto the rope and begins to sway back and forth. The lion now is perched on top of the well. He won't go inside. He thinks, okay, if I wait long enough, the lion will go and chase some other boy. He'll leave me alone. He waits. And the one thing that I would never recommend any of you to do when you're in that situation, he did. He looked down. Don't look down ever. When he looks down, he sees the mouth of the crocodile wide open. Lion on top, perched. Crocodile, mouth wide open on the bottom. He's clutching onto this rope. Now he's a kid, a lot of ghurur, a lot of ego. He thinks again, if I wait long enough, both of them will be on their way. The moment he thinks that, he hears the sound of somebody scratching on the rope and biting ever so slowly on the rope. He looks up at the rope, he sees a black mouse and a white mouse, ever so slowly chewing on the rope. Bachara, as you would say. On top is a lion perched, at the bottom is the crocodile. Black mouse, white mouse, and he is holding on to the rope of a rope inside the well. Now if I was to ask you what advice would you give this young man, what would you say? Not much. You say, I'll pray for you, inshallah. The story says a lion represents death chasing you. The crocodile's mouth is the grave, open, waiting for you. The black mouse is night, the white mouse is day, time. Ever so slowly, chewing at the rope of life. And you're holding on to a dear life. So really, the image I right now displayed for all of you is you and I right now as we speak in this dunya. Now it gets better. In this completely chaotic state now, he smells honey. Now I've heard that New Zealand has some great honey here. In Toronto, we don't have honey. We have just water and sugar. They claim it's honey, but it's not honey. This is real honey. Honey has a certain smell to it, a taste to it. It's delicious. He thinks to himself now, he sees the honey now stuck to the side of the well. Disgusting, surrounded by flies, it's black, but it's honey. He decides to himself, you know what, I've been running from this lion all day, I'm hungry. Follow me very carefully. He swings himself to the lion, to the honey, and begins to now, off the wall of the well, begins to eat the honey with his fingers. You would think, look, Baba, forget the honey for a second. Get yourself out of the situation, and you can have all the honey you want afterwards. But he's completely engulfed in the honey to the point he forgets about the lion, forgets about the alligator, forgets about the mice. He's enjoying the honey as we speak. The example says that honey, that's disgusting, stuck to the side of the well, that honey is a dunya mal'una. That makes you ghafil to everything else around you. That makes you forget about everything else around you. Sometimes you and I are so engulfed in this dunya, we don't understand where we're going, where we are right now. Are we sinking? Are we swimming? Are we floating? Is our family sinking? What's happening around the world? We hear about this Orlando shooting in the US, we turn the page. We hear about a bomb in Zainabiyah, we turn the page. We hear about a bomb in Karbala, we turn the page. We become immune to it. Because we're just worried about tomorrow, 9 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 5. We have no concern about this idea. We have a seminar right now after the program, inshallah. I urge you, I ask you to stay for at least half an hour afterwards to understand this idea of Quds. And what is this Quds? Inshallah, we have a panel of ulama here. They will, inshallah, shed some light, answer the questions that many of you have about this idea. That if we truly want to be the individuals who are the muntadhareen of Imam Mahdi, alayhi salatu wa salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. then the bare minimum that we should do at least is acknowledge the dhulm happening in the world, acknowledge the zalim who's doing it in the world. It's important, it's vital. It's part of our responsibility. So the dunya, we have to make sure and ensure that we don't get caught up in the dunya to the point where it makes us forgetful about our true maqsad in this world. As Imam Rada alayhi salatu wasalam says, and it's a hadith that I've said before in a lot of my speeches. He says, the dunya is a bridge. And you don't build homes on bridges. Oh, you guys are tired, I think, today. Tired? No? You don't build homes on bridges. If you've ever seen a bridge that has a home on it, you'll think this guy is foolish. The base of that bridge won't hold the weight of the house. Instead, a bridge is used from one area to another, to carry and transport your goods from one area of the bridge to the other side of the bridge. It's a wasila, it's not the maqsad. But if you come across a sign saying bridge out and the bridge is broken, then you're stuck. So the bridge has ahmiyat, it has importance, no doubt, but not to the point where it's the destination. It will get you to where you want to go. It's not where you need to go at that moment. So yes, while we have 1,000 traditions about the dunya being cursed in the eyes of the Ahlul Bayt, we also have the idea that it is also praised in the eyes of the Ahlul Bayt, to the point where we have to understand that what is our relationship with the dunya. Imam Jafri as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, in a book that's called the Misbahul Sharia, it's a collection of sayings attributed to him. In the very first discussion on ubudiyat, he talks about the examination of 4 different relationships that you have to do before you enter the discussion on ubudiyat. He says, first of all, examine how you are with others, how you are with Allah, how you are with yourself, and how you are with this dunya. What do you take from this dunya? How do you perceive this dunya? Have you allowed this dunya now to strip you of your iman? Because we mentioned a few nights ago about the idea of dua and supplication, how sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hears your, hears your dua. However, understands that if I answer this dua right now, he'll lose every ounce of the iman he has. We have to be able to present this balance to our next generation. A lot of times our elders are frustrated, and I say this with the utmost respect, frustrated because they've lost a generation, or because their child doesn't come to the center. It's not as pious as I like him to be. And part of that, of course, a lot of that is him. But part of it is, how have we presented the deen to these kids? And I say that not knowing what you have gone through as elders in this community. Like I said in the Q&A last Sunday, 1,000 salams to those who have upgraded and migrated from India, Pakistan to here. It's very difficult. I could never do that, what you did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago. It's very, very difficult. But in the process, there was a responsibility that you had to gather, and part of that was that you're coming from an established community already. In Karachi, in Lahore, in Lucknow, in Hyderabad, all of them, they have established centers. Time for salat, you hear adhan from every corner of that city. You're now bringing him to a place where there's nothing here. So the responsibility for you to introduce the deen to your child is yours. Now you can drop them off on Sunday school for 4 hours, that won't do anything. Sunday school is made to reinforce what you do at home, not replace what you do at home. These communities on Thursday nights, these ulama, these programs are simply made to help you reinforce what you should already be doing at home. And part of that is, how have you presented the deen of Islam to the children? Everything and anything is just what? Halal, haram, jaiz, najaiz, yes, no's. It's a series of laws, and that's it. You break the law, hellfire. You gain the law, heaven. That's it. So now the child thinks, okay, look, I broke a couple of laws. There's no way I'm going to heaven. Because the deen to him is nothing but a code of laws. The Quran is a book of laws. The Quran has 500 plus ayats on fiqh alone. That's it. The remaining 6,000 plus ayats talk about Allah's mercy and the akhirat and the dunya and your wujud and Allah and all these things. Have we presented that to our children? And part of that is this balance. If it's one thing the maktab of the Ahlul Bayt tried their level best from day number one was to create a balance and to never go down extremes. And this dushman today, right now, has understood that very well. It really has. When they hear about stories about somebody being burnt to the ground and beat and dragged and hung from a bridge, they know, at least they know, that it might be a Muslim who killed this individual. It wasn't a Shia though. Shias don't do that. Shias come out to the streets and they yell, they scream, they chant, for sure. They don't take the law in their own hands. Because they're not extreme individuals. Because their school of thought is a school of thought that's balanced. Look at the various traditions that talk about balance. I'll give you a few of them. All of you have heard this, mashallah. When you have ulama like him in the city, you've heard many, many things. Way better than I'm giving you today. But we have to be able to present the deen to these kids as a balanced way of life. Not a set of rules. Not if you go through a red light, ticket. If you go too fast, ticket. If you do this, haram, that's it, guna, fishad qabr, that's all there. That's not the deen though. Look at how our Ahlul Bayt describe every other idea. First of all, our sixth Imam says what? About hope and fear, khawf and raja. These are simple traditions. If you measure the level of hope and fear inside of a heart of a mu'min, you'll get the exact same measurement of both. A mu'min is balanced between hope and between fear. That's balance, that's balance. Look at Amir al-Mu'mineen. Again, traditions that young and old have memorized. Live in this world as if you are to live for 100 years. Live for the akhir as if you are to die tomorrow. That's what? That's balance. 4 different imams have quoted to break up your day, 24 hours, into 4 parts. One is rest, one is worship, one is rozi and your school, one is halal entertainment, socializing with your family and your friends and your community. 4 different parts to one day. That's not balance, that's balance. This world will tell you what? Pour 14 hours, 15 hours a day into your business. Your wife complains he's never home, Maulana. Your kids don't see you. The community doesn't see you. God doesn't see you. Everyone's complaining. Meanwhile, you're making the millions, mashallah. At a cost of what? Your kids don't know you. Your wife is annoyed. God's annoyed. The community is annoyed. Everyone's annoyed. Enjoy your money. At what cost? If Islam is nothing, Islam is a balance. And this dunya and akhirat idea is also a balance. We're in this dunya. We live in the dunya, absolutely. But the one thing I mentioned a few nights ago, it's very, very vital. It's from a hadith from Amir al-Mu'mineen, alayhi salatu wa salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. He says, so long as the boat is on the water, the boat sails. The moment the water gets in the boat sinks. So long as we're in the dunya, we're living in the dunya, we're okay. The moment the dunya creeps inside of us, we will sink. So we live in the dunya, we don't allow the dunya to live inside of us. That's a balance that you and I struggle for day in and day out. And while these kids are suffering, looking for some solution, the Deen of Islam has a comprehensive solution for that. But it's never been presented to them like that. Sometimes not at home, and sometimes, I'm sorry, not from this member either. It's vital that in this day and age, when our kids are fighting to keep their head above water, to not drown in this society, we throw them the life jacket of Islam and allow that to help them float and pull them in and introduce the Deen of Islam very, very easily. Even if you look at the idea of wealth in this dunya, and the reason why I chose this topic on this day was because maybe the best example we have of a person who is successful in this dunya and the akhirat is Bibi Khadija. There's nothing better we have. The Quran talks about the Qaruns of the world. He also had wealth to the point where he actually believed that I have this wealth because of my knowledge. قَالَ إِنَّمَا يُعْتِيتُهُ عَلَىٰ عِلْمٍ عِنْدِي. I have all this wealth because of my knowledge. To the point where the Quran says he had to have a special group of men to simply carry the keys to his treasure. That's how much money this man had. A man who lived in the time of Nabi Musa. Inna Qaruna kana min ummi Musa. He was from the nation of Musa. As you know the story of Qarun. He challenged Nabi Musa. Nabi Musa came to him for sadaqah. He goes, look, I am higher than you in knowledge. I should be asking you. Who are you to ask me? Did everything he could to bury Nabi Musa. In the end, the ground swallowed him up and not Nabi Musa. But his wealth took him what? Away from the line of Allah. That's one example. Then you have Bibi Khadija. And the sad part is that we have simply reduced her to nothing but a rich woman that the Prophet married. That's all she was. Sorry. She came in and she gave him money. Do whatever you want with it. She was more than that to the Prophet of Allah. But yes, oftentimes many Urdu ulama have said this, and they're absolutely accurate, that Islam's survival during the time of the Holy Prophet was on two big principles. One was the generosity of Khadija and the shuja'at of Ali. Without these two things, it's not possible. He's absolutely correct. No doubt about it. But you're talking about a woman who made a lot of money, who was very successful. And you would think that her criteria for choosing a spouse was somebody who was equally successful when it comes to money. It wasn't. She chose the Prophet of Allah, and she chose the Prophet of Allah, by the way, simply because of the way he did business, his honesty, his piety, his accountability. To the point where this woman, at the end of her life, didn't have enough money for even a kafan. The Holy Prophet buried her in his abba. Those years in Shibr Abu Talib, a primary time for us to understand what Bibi Khadija was to the Holy Prophet. Sanctions upon sanctions, barred from Mecca, sent to a very difficult area to live in. In the winters it was freezing, in the summers it was hot. There's barely enough water. And if you think all she was a source of money for the Holy Prophet, understand history. When they were barred from Mecca, an offer was made to Bibi Khadija that this sanctions that we have are only for the Bani Hashim. Now she was part of the Bani Hashim, a few nasls up. But they said, you are exempt from this. You can stay in Mecca, be very comfortable. Let them go to Shibr Abu Talib. It doesn't concern you, Khadija. She would say, where my Muhammad is going, that's where I'm going. The first woman to accept the deen of Islam. The only wife of the Holy Prophet that when she passed away, for 1 year, he called her Amul Huzn, a year of sorrow. To the point where other wives would be annoyed that why you keep mentioning her, she's gone. But she was the one when the Prophet would come back after such a long day, trash being thrown on him, sworn at him, someone's calling him Majnoon, Sahir, all these things, she would come and create this Mahalle Sukoon for him. Lie him down, give him a comforter, make everything relax. And for a moment there, he forgot about all those difficulties. Why? Because Khadija was there. She was everything to the Holy Prophet. And when she left this world out of sickness, and some say she caught a fever at Shibr Abu Talib, the one thing that she told the Holy Prophet, she said, Ya Rasulullah, tell Asma bint Umais to look after my Fatima. Every daughter needs her mother at this time of need. Shahzadi was 4 years old when her mother left this world. At 4 years old, she was made yatim. We send our condolences to her, no doubt. We send our salams to her, no doubt. It's very difficult to lose a mother at that age. But I will say this to you, Shahzadi. You were 4 years old. When your mother left this world, no doubt people came and gave you condolences. Your father was there. He must have hugged you and said, don't worry, I will be your mother and your father. Asma was there. Others were there to console you. Maybe to wipe your tears. Maybe to hug you and kiss you. Maybe to put their hand over your head. To say, don't worry, your mother is gone, but we will be there. Because every time we hear about a 4-year-old yatim, we go towards Karbala, and we think about a 4-year-old Sakina. That where you had individuals who were hugging you and kissing you and putting their hand over your head, when Sakina became yatim, all she had was slaps across her face. Someone ripping her earrings, someone setting her clothes on fire. Asr Ashur, Imam Hussein now does his first al-wida with the khayma of the women. He finally says his khudafis, he mounts the horse, and he begins to tell the Zuljana to make your way towards the Maidan of Karbala. The Zuljana doesn't go anywhere. 2 times in history, his Zuljana didn't move on his command. One was the 2nd of Muharram, when they arrived in a plain called Karbala, and the horse wouldn't move, and they changed 7 of the Zuljanas, still it wouldn't move. And the 2nd time was Asr Ashur. Imam Hussein is pleading with the Zuljana. Okay, Zuljana, I know you're tired. From morning till night, you've carried lash after lash after lash with me. This akhri zahmat, this last zahmat, just drop me in the Maidan of Karbala, and you are free to go. They say the horse, Zuljana, had lowered his head, a tear going down his face, some ishara towards his legs, almost as if to say, okay, Maula, I'm not tired. I'm with you every step of the way. I would love to move on your command, but if you can ask your 4-year-old Sakina, who's clutching my legs right now, to leave me, I can go. Imam Hussein gets off the Zuljana. He sees a 4-year-old Sakina clutching the Zuljana's legs. Hey Zuljana, where are you taking my Baba? Whoever's gone from morning to night has not come back. Hey Zuljana, my Baba is tired. Hey Zuljana, my Baba is thirsty. If you can, take my Baba to Furat. If you can, take my Baba to a place where there is shade. Give him some rest. Imam Hussein grabs Bi Sakina, hugs him. Can you imagine that conversation between a father and a 4-year-old daughter? Can you imagine for a moment what she must feel, knowing full well the next time I see my father will be in the Zindan of Yazid. In the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, she begins to cry and cry and cry. Why? She saw a dream. Baba's in my dream. Baba came in my dream. Hey Sakina, you'll be with me very shortly. She wakes up in a panic. I smell my Baba. I see my Baba. Where's my Baba? Zainab says, hey Sajjad, go see what's wrong. Yazid, in the middle of the night, says, what's this commotion? They say, Yazid, it's the daughter of Hussein. She's crying for her Baba. How can we quiet her and silence her? Bring her the head of her father, and she'll be fine. Yazid orders on a tray the head of Imam Hussein to be brought to Bibi Sakina, a 4-year-old in a broken jail, given the head of her father. They say that when she saw the head of her father, she gripped that head. She kissed that head. She put her cheek against the cheek of that head. She began to cry, Baba, after you, they slapped me. Baba, after you, they ripped my ears. Baba, after you, they trampled this body. They trampled that body. Shikayat after shikayat, complaint after complaint. When finally, in the morning, when Bibi Zainab says, Sakina, it's time for Fajr, wake up. Sakina, it's time for Fajr, wake up. There's no response. Sajjad, go see what's wrong with Sakina. Sajjad walks to the Zindan, lying there, clutching the head of Sakina. Inna lillah. But Biyamma, Sakina is not in this world anymore. سَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلِبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Matam Hussein.
Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein. हुसैन या हुसैन। मातम के लिए सब मदार जज़ाकल्लाह। या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन।